So next we touched on how to support the well-being of the entire industry. I mean, that's an infrastructure thing, right? If we don't have tradespeople, if we don't have students that can afford, I mean, we can't all be, burst immediately into a world-class design firm. And so how do we support that? And Kate had some really sort of profound ideas that you don't actually always hear from a CEO. So props to that.
I remember now.
I'm going to give you a hint. But it's interesting. So pricing for profit. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about that because that sort of seems like a dove. And I don't think a lot of us do that sometimes. And but hiring for balance and then creating mentorships that don't burn people out, or mentorship pipelines.
Sure. Well, okay. Actually, can I ask a quick question of the audience? Can you raise your hand if you are an architect? Okay. I just want to get a sense of who we're talking to today. Builders? Designers? Students and aspiring to the industry? Realtors? Anyone else? Shout it out. I'm not sure, but what else did I ask you about then? Okay. Vendors. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'll mention you now because it's part of my answer. I think that when we are we talk a lot in our industry about sustainability, the sustainability of the product, the sustainability of what we're creating, but we rarely talk about the sustainability of the business itself and of our own careers. And in order to be sustainable, we need to rest. We do. We need to have balance, and we need to have infrastructure, again, I suppose is my word of the day, in the sense of having mentorship pipelines and methods to really raise up who's coming. And in order to do all of that, we have to price for profitability. That means not just pricing to land the jobs, but to actually run sustainable businesses and to do so unapologetically. And it's something that not all of us are as adept at doing as we maybe need to become. It also means being thoughtful in how we hire. Are we hiring to burn people out, or are we hiring to give them balance? Because we're working in an incredibly creativity is demanding, and also emotionally demanding business. The psychology degree would probably benefit quite a few of us. And in order to have really the capacity to stay creative and to keep evolving and to serve our clients in the way that they are looking for us to serve them, we need to be able to show up at our best. And our best is rarely the one running on fumes. So how can we create a business that allows us to have that balance that we want for ourselves, that we want for our team, and that still runs healthily and sustainably? That's what I think of when I think of the wellness of the industry. And I think some of that means having more open dialogue and conversation about what it means to have a well-designed business and what it means to have. We sometimes treat the business side of what we do as like the thing we don't discuss because we're creative and because we're life-enhancing in what we deliver. But we can only do that so long as we have a business that we're running. So I think it's important, and I think it actually can enhance your life because it takes so much stress out of the equation when you have a method and thought and confidence behind how you're running things.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And I think all of us struggle a little bit with the pricing. Shout out to Moni, and she knows why. But she encouraged me to actually charge for this event. So So Megan, you have you're talking about a healthy, supportive ecosystem. I think that's one of the things that we want to support is, yes, we do this product-wise, but really we're an ecosystem. And tell us what that means to you and how do we support that?
Well, I really believe that like a healthy ecosystem, it's not just comes from holding our individual ideas, and it's really sharing the ideas with other people and making that into a collaborative environment. And also that ecosystem means like creating spaces that allows for this exchange of ideas. I think the marketplace also is like a start at making spaces for people to exchange ideas, that we can come here not only to hear people talk, but to listen, to celebrate, to come up with creative ideas. So I think really to really create an ecosystem for design is really to really look at the design world around us and find ways to collaborate, ways to be involved, and really embrace, again, other people's ideas. This is really, we don't come up with these ideas on our own. It's really the influence of talking to other people around us, understanding how other people interact with the world, and that just builds on each other to make something much richer, and it can't just come from one person.
Absolutely. Laura, we have talked a lot about just like the collaboration and the local support. You had some additional thoughts on that.
Oh, how about that? Yes. I think, obviously one thing we all love about Austin is the collaborative spirit and how much the entire design industry kind of lifts each other up here. And I think that's so important and so huge and so unique to Austin. Everyone that I know who either works in Austin or who visits and experiences it talks about how special it is here. One thing that we talked about that I think all of us think is important is also supporting the tradespeople, a lot of the people that don't get as much of the spotlight. I think that as a world, we lost a lot when we stopped emphasizing those artisans and giving them a nice, like a decent living, honestly. To do these forms of art, I mean, millwork is stunning. And I feel like there are so many people that are just behind the scenes that we should be elevating, that we should be encouraging. I think we should be, these are also art forms that are dying out because they aren't glorified in the way that they should be. So I think that's also really important for infrastructure. Now I'm adopting the infrastructure positive today.
It is. It's the word of the day.
Yeah.
I know I didn't respond to it. Erie. Oh. Too sweet.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that this is something that I think a lot about too, and I was actually talking to a cabinet maker that I've worked with, a lot of tradespeople I've worked with for years. I mean, I think that I met this guy on the first job I ever did, like 14, 15 years ago. And he's kind of a one-man shop or show. He's like made a couple of people who work for him or hang it. And he's just a craftsperson and so talented and so fun to work with. And it's such a human experience, working with him. And I get a chance to talk to him about his business. And he was telling me how he was educated by another local mill worker. And that's how he learned the trade, just literally getting out there and doing that. And he's like, yeah, nobody's doing that. And I thought, I must be passionate to trade on somehow. But I love the thought that the marketplace or our design community and design center is so built on that communication or education and sharing of those skills. And I think I feel the same way about, like, I consider myself more of a business person than a creative person, and how we can share, what it takes to run a business and be successful. I have another wallpaper hanger who we work with constantly. And I called him one time and I was like, I really appreciate your pricing, but like, you need to raise your prices, because you're so talented. You just told me you don't want us sharing your name anymore because you're so in demand. So I think that he was like, man, thanks for telling me that. Like giving permission. You're giving permission to charge. And I think, you might be like, why should I pay for that? But then when you realize that that contribution is going to support the things that we're building. So I would love the idea that, that whatever design community we build is based around education and mentorship and an apprenticeship in some of those trades that will continue to build quality within Austin.
Well, and this is a little aside from this group, but NARI, for those of you who are involved in NARI is very involved in trying to increase kids in school going into the trades, and they're working with I believe ASID and A's and Leander to try and make that a track again. Did I do it again? Yes, I did. We all do that if we're in the industry. But anyway, if you're interested in that, NARI is very involved, and I can tell you more. Audie can tell you more.